Alright, hi guys, Ryan here with you again. Happy New Year's, 1st of January 2021 here, out here in Dubuque, Iowa. Getting a little bit of snow, looks like. Um, so we finished up that load over to Omaha from Laredo. Then after that, I had a friend I wanted to visit yesterday up in South Dakota there, not too far away. And I said, run over here. I got a little business across the river over in Wisconsin tomorrow, some non-trucking stuff. So it's kind of nice. Had a pretty good trip down to Texas there from West Virginia down to McAllen. Like I said, I like that in-between week between Christmas and New Year's. Not a lot of trucks on the road, which means a lot higher rates and a lot more negotiating power. And it's just it's a pretty high volume, high money making week. Like I said, I don't recommend staying at home that week. Go home before Christmas, stay home then. And like I said, that Monday after, or 26th, 27th, or whatever, I recommend hitting it hard that week, because like I said, usually when everybody gets back on the road after the 1st of January, it kind of slows down. But like I said, we talked about all that in the last video. But like I said, on this past load, we did like $7,200 gross before Landstar takes their cut from West Virginia down to McAllen, Texas. Then I deadheaded up to Laredo, about 2.5 hours up there, and I got a load out of there going up to Omaha, which got me up here where I needed to be. So it's nice being owner operator, like I said, at Landstar. I said, you're not working for a dispatcher. You book your own loads. So if you got personal stuff, or you want to go spend some time with family here or there, or see this or that, you can kind of work that in and plan around that as you like, which is a benefit. So like I said, I had some other stuff I wanted to accomplish, and that was planned in before I left the house on this trip. So with those two loads, which put me from at home to South Texas and back up to Omaha, in basically 5 days, put me at a little over $10,000 gross income on those two loads, before Landstar takes their cut and all that. And there was pretty good freight coming out of Omaha that they wanted picked up on New Year's Eve there, which I could have done that if I didn't have other plans. And stuff going right back to Ohio, Columbus, that Central Ohio area, that was paying in the $3,000 to $3,500 range. So I mean, I could have easily grabbed one of those loads and been back home, Friday night or Saturday. I mean, basically, since it's only about 850 miles or so, or somewhere in that range, and could have done well over $13,000 in gross revenue in basically 7 days, if I had taken something else. So it's again, like I said, it's a really good week to be running out here. So keep that in mind next year, and try to set yourself up prior to the holiday for that type of thing. Other than that, I wanted to talk about my last trip out in this video as kind of a little bonus here. That last West Coast trip I did out of Parkersburg to window loads, did a load out, had several stops, 8 stops I believe, ended up in Sacramento. And then I grabbed up that load out of Fresno going out to Aberdeen, Maryland, that following day there, and got it over there in about 3 or 4 days, 3.5, 4 days, I believe, or nights. Got over there, drop and hook delivery over there at Frito-Lay in Aberdeen. And I typically, on those type of loads, I usually plan to deadhead home out of there, because there's not very good stuff coming out of that area, and I'm pretty close, 5-6 hours from home. So I usually just kind of write it off. I figure that into my rate when I'm going over there, and it's usually more. I'm not going to sit there for a whole day waiting for a $500 load or something. Just don't make sense. The time that they take your cut and fuel and all that, because I'm not going to work for just fuel money. I'd rather just get home a day early. I mean, personally. So I did end up getting a load. So first of all, the load out and the load back to Maryland, it was about 9 days involved, with 8 or 9 days involved with both those loads. And the way that they were timed, they fell on the same settlement. So it actually came out to be the highest net settlement I've ever gotten in the business. So I'm going to share that with you guys and show you all that. I mean, the load going out was like 8,200 gross, and the load coming back was like 8,900 gross. And then I ended up getting a load out of Carlisle, PA, a load of tires out of there, drop and hook pickup, and it delivered like 5 miles from my house. So it worked out pretty. I mean, I did have to lay over for about 18 hours over there in Carlisle to get that load that night. But it was nice too that I could go in and pick it up at night and run back across the turnpike and keep on my same schedule that I like to run. And it delivered over there. I mean, I had to sit on it for a day at home, and then I delivered it the day after. So, and that one paid like $1,200 gross on that. So it was almost $4 a mile or so, I believe, on that load. So like I said, I usually don't get anything like that coming out of you know, the East Coast over there, Pennsylvania and Maryland, whatnot. So it's like I said, usually when I'm coming west off the West Coast, I typically, you know, plan on setting a little fuel money aside from that prior load to get just to dead head back home, and, you know, setting myself up, getting ready for the next trip out and all that. But yeah, I'll share that settlement with you. Like I said, that Carlisle load fell on the next settlement, so it actually wasn't on the same one as the two big loads. But total gross on that trip, I think I was out 12 days, 11 or 12 days on that, and we were over 17,000, you know, gross pre-Landstar commission on that. So it was a really, so I think it put us over 11,000 to the truck. Or maybe a little bit more than that, but it was a pretty good week, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. Then after, I'll go ahead and do that now on get on the screenshot there on Landstar, and then we'll talk about a couple other little things we got going on here afterwards. So. Okay, everybody, so we got this settlement up here from the 16th, and we got that Parkersburg, West Virginia, and terminating in Sacramento, California. Then we had to Fresno, back to Aberdeen, Maryland, and kind of see what the that was the gross on those. Like I said, the one was about 8,200, and the other one was over 8,900. So 1099 revenue to the truck on those two loads out and back put me at that $11,727 for out and back to the truck. So I took out $1,500 in fuel on the first one, $1,600 on the second one, put me at $3,100 basically in fuel. And I actually owed them, I got that tire still coming out, so $3,200 for those drive tires that I bought that I owe them for, down to $1,900. And I didn't have a settlement the week before, so I was actually in the rears $515 from everything the last week, with plates and I think I had some fuel tax and some other stuff. So that came out. So if I added that back in, and plus I had $320 for tires this week, plus all my other little, you know, the 22, 35, $11 permits at Landstar, $200 a year here. So yeah, 2021 permits, $200. They're taking that out. And my plates are paid for. I think there was 8 cents left, so the plates are paid for next year. So that's all good. And like I said, that extra $320 for the tire, they take 10% out a week. So if I didn't have that tire payment and I didn't have no paycheck the week before, that would have put us at about $8,500 after expenses for I believe it was about a 9-day run out there and back. So that's almost $1,000 a day after expenses, other than the truck itself. So it was a pretty good week, and this is actually you know, I wish that tire stuff wouldn't have been in there to kind of see what we was really looking at. But yeah, like I said, this is the biggest week I've had since I've been in the business. So I mean, like I said, almost $12,000 in revenue in 9 days. So I think it's a pretty good week up here year to date. I was at Mercer for about 2.5 months there at the beginning of the year before I came back over to Landstar, and I think I had about 22,000 in 1099 revenue over there. So that puts us right at about 150 up to this point. Then with these loads that I just did this week, So I think we'll be about for the year for 1099, probably be right around maybe a little over 160 or so for the year. And as you all know, I don't really work that much. I only work about 2 weeks a month. So my margin's right around 50% or so, give or take, before all our extra write-offs and all that other stuff. How it gets complicated with taxes and farming and all that stuff. But I would say, $70,000 or so, after all your margin and everything isn't bad money for working 6 or 7 months a year total. So, but we'll go into that later on once we start working on taxes and stuff. We'll look at some year-end numbers in a later video. But that's I just wanted to share this one with you, and we'll get back to the rest of the conversation here. All right, so that's what we got on the settlement. Like I said, that's the biggest grossing week or biggest settlement. I mean, I will put the disclaimer in there that the way that they fell. I mean, typically something like that, they'll be on 2 different settlements, but it was just kind of the perfect storm with the delivery dates and all that to where those loads fell on the same paycheck. And like I said, we did have the other load that Carlisle load, which was an extra $1,200 in gross revenue. That was kind of on that trip as well. So you kind of figure that into that whole trip, what you saw on that settlement there. Other than that, the other thing we got going on, I'm thinking my truck now. I've got this, as you know, if you're new to the channel, I've got a 2013 Kenworth T660 with an Cummins ISX15. It's a CM2250, so it's kind of the problem child ISX15 out of the bunch. I think they only made it for 2 or 3 years before they went to the CM2350, where they made some improvements and kind of fixed their screw-ups. But as a lot of you know too, which I'm going to do a whole video on this coming up here within the next couple weeks, this is as far as Cummins goes, this model is one of the worst emissions. I mean, they're just, as far as the maintenance and upkeep, especially when they get up in age, they get pretty taxing as far as keeping up on them, and you have to keep up on them or everything fails. My truck now, it's got I think I just turned over 727,000 miles. I'm kind of kicking around the idea of maybe trading this one in or selling it and getting something, going back down to something with like about 350 on the mileage. I wouldn't buy a new truck. I'd like to keep a payment under 1,500, 1,1300 preferably. So I mean, if I was looking for something, probably looking, the $60,000-$70,000 range on something and putting a little money down on it. So I've been looking at a couple things. I mean, it's just it's a thought right now. I haven't committed or anything. I mean, my truck, as far I know, I've had some comments and some chatter on some of the maintenance videos where guys are talking about there's a lot of guys out there saying, oh, I've had to do end frames at $500,000-$600,000. I mean, I'm at 727 on this, and I mean, as far as oil, I mean, this truck was ran in the salt a lot up north by the previous whoever operated it. And there's some wiring problems, some gremlins here and there. I mean, it probably needs a whole new chassis harness, and I mean, I want to change the transmission out in it because I know when I go to high-low range, I mean, which is probably the synchronizers and that high-low range need rebuilt, but I'm thinking about changing out transmission anyways. And but I mean, as far as the engine mechanically, I mean, as hardware goes, is oil. I mean, Cummins says their limit for oil consumption is a quart per 500 miles. Now, I just since my last oil change on this, I've got 3,600, almost 3,700 miles on this oil change, and I just topped it off here before I started doing this video when I checked everything out before it gets dark here. And I put 2 quarts in it, maybe a little over 2 quarts, maybe 2.5 quarts. So 2.5 quarts in 3,700 miles is actually pretty well within specs. I mean, I was actually surprised when I topped it off because I thought I was doing about 1,000 miles per quart, but actually on this trip I did a little bit better than that. So I mean, as far as doing an end frame, I mean, I think I would feel safe probably running this at least another 100,000 miles before kind of looking into an M-frame. And if it wasn't that case, I mean, I would do that myself at home in my shop. You know, I mean, but you're looking at M-frame kits. I mean, doing it myself, I'm probably looking, you know, about 13,000 before I get in. I'd probably have the head I'd probably take the head in and have it redone and redo the injectors, or put different reman injectors or something in it as well at the same time, and probably look at the cam and overhead drivetrain and stuff like that as well. So I just don't know if I want to invest that much. I mean, if I start looking at doing an N-frame and a transmission and a chassis harness, I mean, the chassis, I mean, and of course I'm doing all this myself. So I mean, if you're listening to these numbers and you're thinking about doing this stuff with a dealer or another shop, I mean, you can pretty well double these numbers. I mean, for an N-frame, you could be looking at, you know, 25 grand, depending on where you go. And transmission, I mean, I can get another 13-speed rebuilt down at Edelman's in Canton there for about $5,600, and I put it in myself, throw a clutch in for $800. I mean, if I was to take it to somebody, I'd be looking probably 10 or 11,000 time you figure in labor. So it gets really expensive. But even what I'm looking at, I'm like, really is, I mean, probably in the next 18 months to 2 years, I'm probably just in parts and not even including my time, I'm probably looking at putting close, well over 30,000 to 30,000, probably be a good ballpark number. And it's like, do I want to put $30,000 into a 2013 truck? I mean, which I could get some more miles out of it, but I mean, I'm going to do a whole other video, and I've had a lot of requests and a lot of questions on this topic specifically, and I want to save it all where I can get on the big board and put some numbers out there and lines and graphs and whatnot, and kind of show you kind of where a new truck payment and, you know, maintenance, where they kind of, with mileage and time, where they kind of intersect, and you can kind of make a business decision on that type of stuff. So we're kind of tossing the idea around, and I'm looking at a couple other options as well, which I talk about later in the future. But so that's pretty much what we got going on right now. So like I said, I just want to share all that with you guys. Bought a couple more tractors on the farm side. Actually, I ended up with 3 that I bought. So share those with you guys here next week. Be more to follow on that on the farm side if you guys are interested in that type of stuff. I bought one tractor, a D17 Alice diesel, that's locked up, not running, so it's going to be a complete project. So we'll be doing a little series bringing that thing back to life, which I kind of wish I would have did on that John Deere that I have, that I brought back pretty much in milk crates from Kansas and pieced it all back together. So I kind of missed out on that one. I wish I could have shared that whole process with everybody from start to almost finish. So so we got that coming up as well. Still winter, so not a lot of growing and stuff like that going on. But so like I said, hope you all enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't. We appreciate all the support and everything last year, I should say now. And like I said, as far as trucking went, I mean, you had all the nonsense with everything. But I think as far as trucking went, it was a really good, really good rates. I think rates were better than 2018, and we'll kind of see how all the numbers hash out. But as far as trucking, I think it was a pretty good year, and more to follow on that as well. But like I said, subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell for the updates. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. And again, like I said, if you're new, we do trucking stuff, owner-operator stuff, truck maintenance, Landstar stuff, farming stuff, projects galore, farm equipment stuff, farming a little bit more in the summertime. But like I said, subscribe if you haven't, and we appreciate all the support this year or last year, and hopefully we'll see you more in 2021. So have a good one.